Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and I want to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving because today is our Betting Pros Thanksgiving special. That's right. It's going to be a holiday event, a new tradition for all of you and all of us here. Who knows what kind of stars might show up on the program today? Some crazy performances, some cameos, you never know. But the one guy that always shows up for us every single week is Andrew Erickson, the prop prophet himself. And Andrew and I are going to go through the Thanksgiving games and the Black Friday game. That's right. We have a Black Friday game this year between the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. No Zach Wilson. The holidays are already getting better, or at least we think, but we're going to break down those games. We're going to talk a little props, and also Uncle Joey's going to give you the Turkey Day parlay. That's right. A new tradition is going to begin here. John Madden had his turducken. I've got the Turkey Day parlay. Andrew Erickson, the tradition of Thanksgiving and football has been around for many, many decades now. I got to ask you, how do you consume both on that day? Because I cannot. I'm the guy that's cooking in the kitchen. So typically I see the first game, I miss most of the second one, I'm in and out, and then maybe I'm catching some at night. But for those of us who are more of the eaters and less of the cookers around Thanksgiving, this must be a really fun day for all of you.
Oh, yeah, no, this is one of the best days in the calendar year. You know, Thanksgiving, you have the football combined with the great food that you get at your Thanksgiving feast, whether you eat I usually eat during the first game, like usually around like halftime. It's usually when we all kind of break off and do like, all right, let's eat. And then, you know, people will be conversing. Some people will go back to watching the game. Again, it's always the Lions, so sometimes you don't get a great game, but sometimes you do. This year, it should be, you know, the Lions are the team to beat. Now, it seems like in the NFC, so they're going to be ready to go at home, rocking in Motown. So I'm looking forward to it, you know, getting to the turkey, the sides, the mashed potatoes. Very, very much looking forward to Thursday.
I like how you said it like you're a hobbit, the mashed potatoes. There you go. Yes, I'll be making short ribs. Nobody wants the turkey. So we're like, why am I going to do all that work?
I mean, turkey is overrated.
It's overrated.
Like,
it's too much work. It's overrated. It's gross. You got to put your hands up there. No, just some meat. Give me the short ribs and mashed potatoes. That's what we're doing here at the Pisapia house. But let's start with the Thanksgiving games here. And typically, you know, we always look at these games and say, okay, these all make sense. There's usually one game at least that always goes sideways. It's hard to peg which one that might be this year. My money is on the first one if any of them go sideways. But you see things a different way. Which one could go sideways for you?
I think for me, it's the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Commanders game, because when I'm looking at so it's like heavy favorites on all three sides. The Lions and Cowboys are heavy favorites at home. And then you have Seattle as a massive underdog against the 49ers, because the 49ers are probably the best team in the NFC. But the reason I picked the Commanders was I'm just trying to look and see, like, okay, what team has the offensive personnel to just keep pace and to like make the game like exciting in some way, shape, or form? And I mean, I would say Howell, this team is the most feisty bunch of the ones that are the inferior teams. Like the Packers are horrible. Like I think they're a horrible team. You know, you look at how they have done this. You know who they have beaten this year? The Green Bay Packers. They have beaten.
They beat the Chargers.
They beat the Chargers, led by Brandon Staley, so I don't consider that an actual win. They beat the Rams, who started Brett Rippon, and they beat the Saints, who Derek Carr played half a game. Like, the Packers are the most overrated team in the NFL, not named the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I don't even remember. I don't know who won that game. I can't even remember. None of them should have won that game. But I think the Packers, when you look at what they've done on the road and as a underdog, last 5 games as an underdog, Packers are 1-4 against the spread. So not only are they not covering as underdogs, they're not even winning. They're not winning, they're not covering, and the Lions are the most profitable team to bet on against the spread since the middle of last year. They know it. They know they're the bully. And after being destroyed by Aaron Rodgers every Thanksgiving, the Lions are going to come out, statement win on Turkey Day.
All right, we'll start with that one. We'll start with that one. We'll see different opinions. By the way, the Steelers won that contest. I had to check it for myself. I thought it was the Steelers,
but the Packers had more yards.
But really, everybody
per usual,
of course. But of course, we all lost at the end of the day. All right, let's talk about this first game here. The Green Bay Packers, 4-6, will travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. They're 8-2 at the top of this division. 47.5 is the number you're getting at -112 on DraftKings. 46.5 for the over at minus 118 on FanDuel. 7.5 is the number you're getting pretty much everywhere here right now. And if you like Green Bay on the upset line, plus 295, it's right there for you. So Andrew Erickson, we get a little later in the program. I've got some feelings about some pieces in this game, but look, they are bereft of a running game right now. You're seeing Jayden Reed work almost as like a Wish.com Deebo Samuel in this offense. And the Lions should theoretically handle their business. 7.5, I think, is a fair number. But to me, the most appealing number here is definitely the over, the 46.5, because I do think there'll be enough points to reach that mark. And that number you can get over on FanDuel. But what are your thoughts on this game as you break it down?
I mean, I love the over in this game. We're playing at Ford Field.
There you
That's
go.
what we're playing in this game. We're playing at Ford Field. So, look, I like the over in this spot too. We saw last week the Green Bay Packers threw for 300 passing yards. That did not happen at all in any game in 2022. It hasn't happened since January of 2022 when Aaron Rodgers was still the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers in the 2021 season. So it's been a while since the Packers have actually thrown for 300 yards in a game. You're starting to see these offensive pieces click a little bit more. You mentioned Jayden Reed. I love Jayden Reed's receiving props in this game. I like the over. He's the number one receiver on the Packers. Like, I'm convinced. Like, Christian Watson, get out. Like, it's Jayden Reed. And again, hate to drive down narrative street, but Joe, we got to buckle in here. It's a homecoming game for Jayden Reed. Michigan State product, went to Western Michigan as well. So I think Jayden Reed is going to have a massive game here, heavily involved as both a rusher and a receiver. And we know that the Lions, what are they worst against? Slot wide receivers. And that's where Jayden Reed plays the most of his snaps. So if it's going to be keeping pace, it's going to be due to explosive plays on offense. But that's the one reason why I think the Lions can just come away with a touchdown plus lead here. When you look at what Detroit has done defensively, they've been one of the best teams in terms of allowing the least explosive plays on defense. Last week, the Packers had 3 touchdowns of 20 plus yards. 3. They may not get one this game.
Well, look, more on Jayden Reed later on. Let's get to the next game here. Dallas will host the Washington Commanders. The number for this one is 48.5. You can get that over on FanDuel at minus 110. You've got the plus 11 at minus 109 at Sugar House for the Commanders and the minus 10.5 at minus 112 on FanDuel. If you like the Washington Commanders for the upset special in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner for most people, it's plus 450 on the money line at PointsBet. Now, I do not. I guess my reasoning is this: at the end of the day, it's a big number. I think Dallas handles their business. They are at home. They have been good at home. I know you pointed out to me earlier when we were just talking that their competition at home has not exactly been world beating, but I will say this. I understand the fear because the Jekyll and Howell factor where he shows up in games he shouldn't and then he loses to the New York Giants. Like, I get that. I understand all of that makes sense. But I think the mistakes that Howell still continues to make is really going to plague him in this game. And that's why I think at the end of the day, you get probably a defensive touchdown by the Cowboys, not to mention that offensive onslaught. I just don't think they can keep pace at the end of the day with the Dallas Cowboys, who came off a little sluggish game last week. So I am actually comfortable with this number. This is where I like it. The 10.5 is fine. I think they're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns at the end of the day. But Andrew Erickson might have some other feelings. So, Erickson, take us through your thoughts on Commanders Cowboys.
Well, I think the thing to point out is, again, you talked about how good Dallas has been at home and the fact that they've played, the Jets, Giants, Patriots, a bunch of teams that are really, really bad. Commanders are not that team. Like, the Commanders can put up points on offense. They're a team that's not afraid to go toe-to-toe. We saw them go toe-to-toe twice with the Philadelphia Eagles, and what you're telling me is like, oh, he's going to turn the ball over. He's going to take sacks. Like, the Eagles defense is going to terrorize him. That didn't happen in either of the games he played against them. So with a similar matchup, I think on paper with Dallas's defense, why not bet plus 11 for the Commanders on a team that they will not fold over because they'll continue to throw the football. And how do you get back in games? How do you score points on offense? By throwing the football. So they can be down by 2 touchdowns. You have Sam Howell chucking balls deep to Darren McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, making it really tough for me to back Dallas in this spot with so many points. And when you just look at what this Howell team has done on the road as underdogs, 5-0 against the spread. They're perfect. They always get doubted on the road. Nobody wants to bet on them. And then what do? They cover because they throw the ball a ton. And that's the best way to score points on offense. So that's why I have confidence that they can cover 11 points. Yeah, give me Washington.
All right, so we see eye to eye in the over in the first game. We are in opposing sides, like most families around Thanksgiving during dinner time. So there you go. So that feels just about right. Let's see if we can bring it all home for these last two games. The nightcap, San Francisco at Seattle. San Fran is 7-3. They are 6.5-point favorites in this game on Caesars, -110. That's the best number you can get. Seattle, if you like them, it's +7, -110 on PointsBet. 43 is the number for the over at -110 at BetMGM. 43.5, -114 at FanDuel. And then the best number on the money line for Seattle is +245 over on FanDuel as well. I'm going to keep this one simple. Geno Smith's health was in question. It looks like he's going to try to play. Can he make it through this game healthy and standing upright between Chase Young and Nick Bosa and that ferocious pass rush? I say no. In fact, I'd be looking for all the sack props I could possibly get with a bunch of those guys, with Young, with Armstead, all of them. I would be looking. Bosa as well. Those numbers are still kind of filtering in here as we're recording this. I know DraftKings has some up already, but to me, I think this is a comfortable one for the 49ers. I really do. I don't see Geno making it through this entire game, unfortunately. I just think that pass rush is really formidable right now. They are causing havoc these last two games together. You saw it with Baker Mayfield. You saw it with Trevor Lawrence. And I think you're going to see it again here, and that's going to be a problem for the Seattle Seahawks offense. And Brock Purdy looks like a new man. Since the bye, he collected his thoughts and his feelings, and all of a sudden now he is back to being the Brock Purdy everybody was very excited about in the first month or so of the season. So, Erickson, what do you think? I'm taking the 49ers in the 6.5. What do you like?
Yeah, I like the 49ers in the 6.5. Something I bet early on in the week, as the lines get first released, I always try to see if there's anything that stick out to me, and 6.5 to me was like, this 49ers offense is just an absolute juggernaut, and the issue with Seattle is even though they're at home, they can't score in the red zone. And that's going to make it so hard for them to go toe-to-toe with a team that consistently is putting up points wherever they are on the field. Like, the 49ers can score wherever they are, and they just have so many weapons. When they're healthy, they're unstoppable. We've seen that in every game that they've all been active with Debo and Trent Williams and George Kittle. This team can't be stopped. And when they had that skid, it was because they had injuries. So really, outside of someone getting hurt in this game, where the 49ers are entering much healthier than the Seattle Seahawks are, I think you have to back the 49ers at 6.5, even on the road. We saw them march into Seattle last year. Brock Purdy was the quarterback, and they won outright by 8 points. So I would say, too, I do like the under in this game as well. Again, primetime unders have obviously been cashing left and right, so I think there's a narrative there that you can kind of back. And the fact that, if Geno Smith is limited, there's going to be no Ken Walker. Ken Walker, again, he's a running back. It's like, oh, it doesn't really matter, Andrew. And it's like, well, when you're Ken Walker and he can score from anywhere on the field, yeah, it does matter for the total points that are scored in the game. So Seattle, they have to play defense to try to keep this game close, but it's just a numbers game where the 49ers have so many ways they can attack you that even though Seattle's defense has been better, they've allowed fewer than 250 passing yards in 6 of the last 7 games. They just don't have enough guys to cover all the 49ers offensive weapons because, from McCaffrey to Kittle to Samuel to Ayuk, how many of these guys would be the Patriots, right? Any of these guys would be the number one that would get every single touch and every single target on their offense. Why are you depressing me around
the holidays? Why are you doing this? I don't understand why you're doing this.
No, because we're going to be getting Mike Vrabel as head coach soon. So that's why we're going to be happy. That's why we're going to be happy.
That's what I asked Santa Claus for. I put it on my list already. It's the first thing I wrote. All right, the last game here for the holiday special is a bonus game, something we've never had before, the Black Friday game. So new traditions here, and you know how the NFL was really hoping they'd get a lot of Aaron Rodgers. Well, we're not going to get Aaron Rodgers in this game. We're going to get Tim Boyle in this game. Anything but Zach Wilson at this point. The number right now for the Jets Dolphins, you're getting -9.5 on the Miami side, -110 at PointsBet. You're getting +10 at -110 at BetMGM on the Jets. 41 is this number consensus on FanDuel, -110. And then the best value is the Jets to somehow squeak out a victory in this game at +400 on FanDuel. That is a huge number. And sometimes, Andrew, you look at things, you just go, I don't love this game. I don't love it. I'm just looking at value. The value is on the Jets money line. Now, I'm not saying you should be aggressive on it. I'm saying a small unit brings you 4x value. That's the way I play this game. I play Professor Chaos here from South Park. Butters famously, would be laughing all the way to the bank potentially on this one. But to me, the Dolphins continue to be a strange enigma of a football team. They are much better than the Jets in terms of offense. But sometimes it feels like Maybe they get too cute. Maybe they can't execute. Some of these injuries that are catching up with them too. The Dolphins should absolutely win this game. They should win it handily in all theory. But I think the only value from a wagering standpoint is to bet the Jets or stay away. That's my feeling on it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. It depends on how much pie I have on Thursday night and how I feel Friday morning. Your thoughts here on this contest between the Jets and Dolphins?
Well, I thought I was going to be coming on here bold and backing the Jets at +10, but the fact that you're bringing up Jets money line, I mean, I'm glad that you are kind of seeing it.
That's the value. The value is to go 4X on a small unit and say, here you go, instead of mucking around with, well, maybe we get this margin of victory and maybe they keep it close. Screw that. If it's going to be close, try to get some good holiday shopping done. Buy your kids some presents with something. Like, that's what you got to do here.
Because you're going to spend a lot of money before the game anyway, so you got to get it back after you buying a bunch of Nintendo Switches and Xboxes and PlayStations that you bought at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're going to wake up right around game time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and be like, all right, gangrene, baby. Let's go. So I guess for me, like, Tim Boyle is obviously drawing the start. He was 2-3 against the spread 2 years ago as the Lions starting quarterback, filling in for an injured Jared Goff. So I think he's kind of underrated. And I don't know, the fact that the Jets got rid of Zach Wilson, like, isn't this going to be that game where it's like, we're free?
Well, yeah.
Like, we're free. Like, they're going to rally around the next guy because we see this with coaches and teams all the time. They get rid of that guy that nobody wants. They did it with Mike White
last year. Let's not pretend like they did it. They would, my kingdom for Mike White if I'm a Jet fan this year. And we talked about one of these games in the holiday always goes sideways. Maybe it's not the 3 on Thursday. Perhaps it's this one on Friday that goes so sideways that nobody saw it coming. I think this might be the sideways game of all 4.
Well, I think especially too, it's like, because you're going to know what happens in the Thursday game. So if we get like chalk, the first 3 games, it's like, that the next game is going to go off the wire. And that's when you fill in that Jets money line play.
All right, everybody. Before we get going, don't forget to make all of your picks count. Go join our NFL contest over on Betting Pros. Again, bettingpros.com/NFL contest. We're giving away a Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey. We're doing weekly prizes for upgrades and swag to our shop, monthly prizes as well. So the monthly prize is an upgrade to Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros Premium. Weekly prizes, we're doing gift cards for our shop. It's the holidays. Get somebody nice Betting Pros hat, sweatshirt, something like that, or get it for yourself. Also, don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, and I know you are, drop the comments below, subscribe to the channel, and you just might win a 1-year free premium upgrade. Just for doing that, don't forget to ring that bell till it goes ding for notifications, every time a piece of content drops here on the channel. But again, subscribe to the channel. We've got the NBA show going on right now too, every Wednesday and Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern live. So we are full service, all sports, all the time over on BP. We're going to do lightning round. We're going to go through. Andrew and I are going to give you our 5 favorite props of the holiday special, and maybe the parlay to end all parlays of the Turkey Day parlay at the end of the show. So let's go rapid fire. I'll kick things off here. I'll start with Dak Prescott, 260.5 passing yards. I'm taking the over, -110 on FanDuel. To Andrew's point, I think Howell could make things interesting at times, but look, he has crushed this number the last few games. He's gone well over 300 in many of them. I don't think much of the Commanders' defense. I think the 260.5 is a very comfortable number. The juice is just about right, -114. You can take the Cowboys on the money line, pair it with the Dak number. Maybe you take a CeeDee Lamb touchdown prop. Next thing you know, you got a nice little Thanksgiving parlay for the Cowboys if you are one to do that. So give me Dak Prescott. What do you have, Andrew Erickson, number 1 on your list?
Look, Brandin Cooks. I want to parlay your Dallas Cowboys Dak Prescott passing yards over with Brandin Cooks, whose receiving yards prop is at 34.5 yards. I was like, what? Why is it? He's playing the Commanders, right? Like, he didn't change teams. Like, he didn't get traded again, right? I know he gets traded a lot, but 34.5, he's gone over this in the last 4 games, like over, because we've seen Dallas dial up this high Hawk-Dane passing attack. And why would he not continue it against the Commanders, who are the worst pass defense in the NFL, especially allowing explosive plays? Looking at how they're using Cooks, he has 14 targets of 10-plus air yards over the last 4 games. Caught 10 passes for 232 receiving yards. So yes, Lamb's going to get his, but I think there's going to be way more enough for Brandin Cooks to get involved to get 40 receiving yards, 35 receiving yards in this matchup. So I like the Cooks over.
You can get that on one play probably. Brock Purdy over 253.5 passing yards, minus 115 over on DraftKings is another one for me. Look, Purdy out of the bye has been really good. 296, 333. Before the bye, even against Cincinnati, he was up to 365. The Seattle defense, I think, is going to have a hard time stopping that 49er attack. So give me this 253.5 passing yards for Brock. Let's go back to you, Andrew. What do you have next on your list for props for the Thanksgiving special?
So going to the Lions game, I love the Lions, love them minus 7.5. But the thing I want to look at is Jared Goff and his passing props, specifically looking at passing attempts. So the Packers are this defense that everyone wants to run on. Like every team dials up the running game. Even last week, we saw the Chargers were running the ball against them. They're so bad against the run that teams don't throw a lot on them. So the last 5 quarterbacks that have played the Green Bay Packers finished under their projected passing yards and passing attempts props. They're facing just 31 passing attempts per game, which is the 6th lowest mark in the NFL. So Goff, 33.5 passing attempts. I think he's going to become under this because we're going to see like 20 touches for David Montgomery and potentially Gibbs against this atrocious run defense that the Packers have. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of Jared Goff dropbacks in particular, a lot more rushing from the running back. So I'm going to take the under on his passing attempts.
Number 3 on my list, I see Sam Howell running a lot, running for his life away from Micah Parsons, who's going to be hungry. He is going to be hungry this Thanksgiving. There you go. I got it out. I said it. It sounded cool in my head, and then it just did not sound cool when I said it. But regardless, Sam Howell is a small number. The over on the 15.5 rushing yards, minus 120 over on DraftKings. To me, this is an easy one. He's gone over this the last 3 weeks in a row, and I think whenever you have that pass rush there, and he's going to be running around trying to get loose, he gets loose at least for one big one. Again, don't look for the attempts. Instead, look for the rushing yards. He could pick this up on 1 or 2 rushes. That's all he needs. So look for those easy numbers sometimes, and this one is a small one, 15.5. Let's go over that one. Erickson, back to you for another pick.
I'm going to match you. One of my favorites is the Sam Howell over on his rushing yards too. 15.5 rushing yards. Like I talked about Bryce Young last week, and he had like 2 rushing attempts on the first drive and then just never ran the rest of the game. So I'm still following the process. The process was right about betting on mobile quarterbacks against the Dallas Cowboys. And if they're going to be dropping back to throw so much, he's going to have opportunities to scramble. So Bryce Young let me down. Sam Howell, 5-0 as an underdog on the road against the spread. He won't let me down. So Sam Howell over 15.5 rushing yards and the Commanders to cover plus 11.
That's one too far. All right, let's get to another one for my Jayden Reed. Anytime touchdown score, you get this number plus 250 on FanDuel right now. And Andrew Erickson and I, we did our homework and we came together to have this show today. He likes Reed. I like Reed. That means you should like Jayden Reed because we are seeing opportunity for him continue to spike with Aaron Jones out of the lineup. Again, you want the football in certain guys' hands. This is the right hands to put it in, and they could be in a situation where they're playing from behind. So Reed is going to have many opportunities here with Jordan Love, whether he is running the football or receiving it. So plus 250 is a really nice number in that game. So give me Jayden Reed. Back to you, Erickson. What do you have next for the people?
Yeah, Reed's receiving yards prop, I found it when it was over on Prize Picks earlier in the week, 39.5 receiving yards. It's just way too low. I mean, he's the number 1 receiver on this team. He led the team in targets in the first half of last week. He saw a season high in route participation. Look, Christian Watson's not happening, guys. Like, it's just not going to happen. And for some reason, his receiving yards prop is higher than Jayden Reed's at 45.5. And I'm like, Christian Watson hasn't had that like all season. Like, come on. So Jayden Reed for me, again, talked about it being a homecoming. Michigan State, Western Michigan product, alumni. Massive game for him. I absolutely love his touchdown props and the receiving yardage props. You got to bet the over on Jayden Reed.
All right, I've got a special for everybody on the special right here on FanDuel. Jordan Love and Brock Purdy to combine for 550 passing yards. You can get this at plus 250 right now over on FanDuel. This is a nice little number here. I think Brock Purdy can prop up most of this by himself, get you into the 290-ish range. I think that's well within reason. So Jordan Love just has to be respectable and playing from behind. Can he do that? Maybe, but at plus 250, I think that's a really nice little special return. So give me the combo on the passing yards plus 550 between Love and Purdy. Erickson, you have one more for the people before we get to the parlay of the Turkey Day?
Yeah, so I just want to comment on that pick there between Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. You know what's going to happen is Jordan Love's going to put up $150, right? But then Brock Purdy's going to save you.
He's going to put
Sunday night with like 400 yards.
That'll be the sweat, right? The sweat will be 150 for Jordan Love, and I'm miserable until Sunday at around 11:30, and then feeling good again.
It's going to be Kittle, Ayuk, just running absolutely wild.
On the flip side, let's think positively. If Jordan Love gets to 250 or 260, hey, all of a sudden that looks pretty good for me. Pretty good.
You're feeling good going into Sunday night. Speaking of Sunday night, I will look at my last prop here. DK Metcalf over 59.5 receiving yards. So he's been over this number in 2/3 of his games played this year. And we look at the 49ers defense, they just face a ton of passing volume. You know, you're going to be missing Ken Walker. I would expect the Seahawks are going to be trailing in this game. They're going to have to throw the ball a ton. That's how teams attack the 49ers. So their defense has allowed 60-plus receiving yards to 8 different wide receivers over the last 6 games. 7 of 10 of games, opposing number ones have gotten the over on their receiving yardage prop. I think 59.5 is really low for DK Metcalf, who has 90-plus yards in back-to-back games. They need to rely on him without Ken Walker as their explosive guy. Tyler Lockett is banged up. He's on the injury report with a hamstring injury every single week on a short week. I think Metcalf has to have a big game if Seattle's going to keep this close. So I like the over on DK Metcalf.
Can he still hit that number of Drew Lock as the quarterback for the second half of this game?
I plead the fifth.
Okay,
like
fair enough.
Robert Saleh.
Well, that's my only concern with that DK Metcalf.
Well, you can wait on it.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you can see how things are going in the game, but also, that's the fun part of the Thanksgiving games too. You get a lot of in-game live potential betting that you could do, but my only concern of any of the Seattle stuff is if Geno comes out early of that game, any re-aggravation of that triceps injury because of that ferocious pass rush I talked about before. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask potentially of Drew Lock, but we shall see. All right, everybody. It's what you've been waiting for. It's the Betting Pros new tradition, the Turkey Day parlay. And here's what I've put together for you for Thanksgiving. We're going to leave that Black Friday game out, but who knows? If you want to get weird and you want to put the Jets on the money line in this, you could probably win a lot of money, but I don't know if I'm that crazy. We'll see. Maybe after the show, I might just do one for a little good time. But here's my favorite 3 bets. The Packers, Lions over 46.5. Put that with the Cowboys at -10.5 and the 49ers at -7 over on FanDuel. You put them together, you get plus 584, and that's a fun way to spend the day watching football. So obviously you can make sure that you are downloading the Betting Pros app. Make sure you're staying on top of all of the game action here, all of the in-game opportunities you're going to get, not to mention all of the fun you can have all weekend watching football, making bets here on the channel. Don't forget, we're going to have Erickson's prop video still this week. We're going to have my top 10 video is going to drop soon as well. So we're going to have you covered throughout the holidays. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to drop that comment below. And of course, ring that bell till it goes ding so you can possibly win yourself a 1-year free premium service of Betting Pros on the app. I know you've downloaded it and you're trying it out and you are seeing how incredible it is. And if you haven't already, don't forget, download it on iOS. You get 3 free days of premium. So this is the perfect weekend to be doing that. All the football you can possibly handle. Wall-to-wall football, baby. That's what we're doing here on Betting Pros. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Win some cash, and we'll see you next time, kids.